Greetings, folks. We are back here with our Coaches on Campus series, our final discussion, our conversation that has really analyzed what's our current state, our quarantine state, as I like to call it. But also it allows those of us who are on campus, those of us who are in institutions, to really think about where we are and where we would like to go. And today's conversation is going to piggyback on the previous one, which was on imagination. But now we're going to take it a step further and analyze co-creativity and imagination and what that would look like for you, your colleagues, and your institution moving forward. So Lisa, good morning again. How are you today?
I am well. It's good to see you, as
Good.
always.
As always, for sure. When I say the word co-creativity, Lisa, what initially comes to mind for you?
I get a picture in my mind of sort of like what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
This back and forth conversation. The co is really important. Um, the conversation itself, or the interaction, whatever that is, itself generates an investment, a sense of immersing into what we're learning. And so it doesn't have to be two people. It can be a person and a book. It can be a person and a movie. It can be five people. It can be a team that thinks about next steps and what's most valuable to learn and what's
Mhm.
most important to leave behind in our learning. So, but it's always some kind of dialogue, either internal or external or a combination of both.
Yeah.
That's what I think about in terms of the co. And then the creativity comes from the imagination that we talked about last time,
Sure.
experimentation, solving problems. And I would add making meaning on what we're doing together.
Yeah. I think I know institutions are usually very good at coming together in committees. I know they're very good at collaborating in disciplines. I think, especially in this new pandemic and beyond time frame that we're in, it's it's almost more important to step up that type of collaboration, that type of
Mhm.
co-creativity. I also like to look at it as a brainstorming session where we can come up with ideas that is going to benefit our classes, benefit our students, benefit the institution as a whole. But that co-creativity should not necessarily stop with just inside of our institutions. Perhaps it needs to step outside of our institutions to institutions, to other colleges and universities that you may be able to collaborate with, number one, but then also our stakeholders too, who may be able to provide some insight that, again, that steps out of the realm of higher education, that steps out of the realm of academia, and present ideas that may reflect what's going on in industry and corporate that may benefit this industry overall. So that's what co-creativity speaks to me and screams to me to a certain extent. Am I doing enough to listen to others who are beside me, to my right and left, but also who are even outside of my sphere of influence?
And that leads right into the experimentation together. I
Yeah.
mean, what would it look like for me to talk to a big business CEO right now? What does learning look like in a corporation? What does learning look like in fourth grade? What does learning look like in religious organizations right now? So ideas, you're right, can be generated and co-created across a whole expanse. Like you said last time, getting out of a box, getting out of the higher education box into a whole new world of imagination. I like that a lot. And I like that we have opportunity in this time to do something a little bit different and not just become, as I said before, tactical, but really blow our minds out in a sense. We can't do that immediately as we were in the virus situation and the lockdown and what I call the siege and you call the quarantine. Um, but coming through the summer, I think, and into the fall, we do have opportunity to take a breath look around and see who those very people are that you are suggesting.
Yeah. One of the books I'm a big proponent of is the Mindset by Professor Carol
Mm-hmm.
Dweck out of Stanford University.
Mm-hmm.
In this book, she talks about two different individuals: an individual who has a fixed mindset, an
Right.
individual who has a growth mindset. Um, it's somewhat self-explanatory, but once you read it, you're like, huh, it really allows you to reflect on yourself and say, hey, where do I fall as it relates to growth versus fixed? Ironically, the majority of society is in the fixed mindset category. So here we are now, and looking to collaborate, co-create, imagine things that we usually don't think of, methods that we usually don't think of. Are you willing to allow yourself to think outside of the box in that growth mindset area in an effort to go places that you would have never thought of before for your institution? And this growth mindset occurs and can occur in so many different ways. I know, of course, in business schools within colleges, oftentimes we have business advisory boards that come in and talk from corporate and tell us, hey, what are some of the things that we need from our students, that we would like to see from our students? Again, very similarly, how open are you? Is the first step, of course, to co-create, collaborate, a brainstorm. But the second step is to really analyze, am I open and willing to stretch myself, to stretch ourselves in order to grow beyond where we've ever been, and in light of our current situation and our future. So those are the things that it almost takes you full circle back to yourself to say, hey, how might I be holding us back because of my restrictions that are in my own head to a certain extent. So that was a lot. Sorry.
Great. Very helpful comments. One way that I think about to stretch ourselves, as you describe, is to think of projects not only between students, but among teachers and among the various stakeholders that you're talking about. Think of projects that could be done together from different viewpoints coming at the project. And that's fairly basic, but getting different people around the table to talk through what's the best way to keep people motivated? What's the best way to keep people solving their own meaningful problems, or creating their own narrative and making meaning out of what we're learning, and also who we are as teachers? How do we make meaning out of being online all the time now? What benefits come from that, as well as frustrations? And so the co-creation, as you say, is a mindset, and it's also creating a plan that keeps that mind open over time and sustains the openness, so that co-creation becomes part of just what we do.
Yeah.
That's learning at its very
Yeah.
best, isn't it? It's what higher ed people do. Likewise, coaches are in my mind, part of education by asking questions and raising the awareness about what's possible. So living in possibility is like living in imagination.
And isn't that what research is all about? Isn't that what research is
Yes, it's the
stretching ourselves
curiosity. Yeah.
beyond the curiosity, the hypotheses, the experimentation? It's all about stepping outside of the known into the unknown. And
Yeah.
then once we do stretch ourselves there, that can become the normal, the new normal, of course, as well. So very good conversation about this co-creativity once again. And of course, it would stem probably from our imagination conversation.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So Lisa, this pretty much wraps up our series here with Coaches on Campus. Any parting notes or parting thoughts as it relates to current state, or future state, and maybe those who have never experienced coaching for that matter?
I have a coach myself, and find that being coached really helps me break through into places I didn't know existed within me, and also incites my own imagination about my tasks ahead, but also what is possible. And so coaching has helped me immensely in terms of thinking through how I educate
Mhm.
and how to be online to do that, how to stay connected to community so that I can stay centered in my work to some degree. I think we're all a little off base right now. But having a coach for me has made all the difference in terms of my staying with my work and doing it as well as I can. My coach also raises my own awareness about my own boxes. You talk about boxes, and ask questions that I have never thought about. And so coaching, and we're coaches for Kinetic Insights. Um, Coaching really makes a difference in terms of how we work together, co-create, foster imagination, and survive this kind of time. Actually, try to thrive in it as best we can.
Yeah, another way to look at it as well, Lisa, is, who is in your life that is asking those powerful questions, that is
Right.
asking those insightful questions, that may be asking those challenging questions that others are not asking you, afraid to ask you, just it's too risky to ask, just to a certain
Mhm.
extent. The coach in your life is going to challenge you in your path, challenge you in your thinking, and ask those what ifs, what would happen, why not type of questions in an effort for you to see what is possible that
Mhm.
you may not have thought was possible before. Those aha moments, I know as a coach, I live for them. And even for me, who has a coach, has had coaches previously in the past, I attribute much of my success to having those individuals in my life that were able to stretch me. So if you've never experienced authentic coaching, certified and credentialed coaching, that is, as
There you go.
well, which is very important to note. I definitely encourage you all to reach out to Kinetic Insights and let us know how we can help, how we can help you grow. So, Lisa, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for these conversations.
Thank you, Peter. I've enjoyed getting to know you even better through these conversations. It's been a joy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you watching, thank you for listening and thank you for watching. We look forward to connecting with you very soon. Take care.